on into the cool side of the broadcast. I'm not cool. Welcome back to the official English broadcast of the Overwatch Pacific Championship. Here to steer you through the rest of the night. It's of course myself, Matt Pixie Carroll, and we are again joined by Kevin Avril Walker and Matt Smite Ross, this time in the other way. And to kick off the second half, we're going to have Flash Wolves taking on who we've just seen, DeToNator.GOLD. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, I imagine. Let's go ahead and take a look at DeToNator.GOLD at the same time.
Yeah, I'm so glad you confirmed earlier whether you were cool or not, by the way. But what is cool is currently Flash Wolves are definitely looking like the #1 team in the competition so far. DeToNator.GOLD unfortunately dropped 0-3 to Fireball, and I'm going to put that down to Fireball having an immense, basically day of improvements, which really put them ahead. So, you know, that being still the case, though, DeToNator going 0-3 against them does not bode well for this upcoming match.
No, it really doesn't, especially if we're considering Flash Wolves to be pretty much top of this round robin right now.
Because as well, Fireball at the top of the game, sure, that's fantastic, but they're still looking nothing like the Flash Wolves that you can see on screen right now. These guys have been performing fantastically, and with this win, will secure themselves a tie at the top of the table with AHQ as well, and they still have more games to go during this round robin as well. So I feel like Flash Wolves are the team to beat, and DeToNator, unfortunately, they're not looking like the team that's going to do it.
Absolutely, and we're also in the middle of the round robin number 3. Look, Blank had a spectacular run, 7-0. Well, actually, sorry, let me just get to this really quickly before we even... I got a bit sidetracked there.
这个是他们的韩籍教练呢，他说就是比赛中学到了很多东西，那他们直到最后都会全力以赴的。
我觉得近期 DeToNator 有进步，那当然我觉得我们不能松懈，那我们一样会尽全力，然后打出精彩比赛。谢谢。
没错，一样是这
All
个
right,
教
so
练
the
的
DeToNator coach to the right, who by the way isn't Sensei today, looks like they've actually got a new coach, one that we haven't seen, maybe a secondary coach that's kind of been behind the scenes. He's basically saying, look, DeToNator, we've had some improvements in the past, and we're really excited to be able to show that now. Coach Ray on the left as well from Flash Wolves is saying, look, we've noticed that DeToNator has indeed been on the rise, they have improved, and we're going to make sure, you know, we're going to be on guard, essentially. We're going to take them seriously. So I would like to see that as well coming out from Flash Wolves, because, you know, there have been games in the past where, you know, Flash Wolves did end up in situations where they were massively ahead, and to be honest, they could also be tonight. And I was saying before, look, Flash Wolves, this could be their round robin. We're in round robin number 3. Blank went 7-0 in round robin 1. AHQ went 7-0 round robin 2. This looks like Flash Wolves round robin now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I suppose the way to kind of contextualize this matchup is the way we contextualize a lot of these when we've got, you know, basically teams right at the top of the standings taking on teams right at the bottom of the standings. The big thing we're actually looking for here is just improvement out of DeToNator, and that's really all it comes down to. And they feel that they have improved, so this absolutely is just their arena to show it in. And if they can do that, they can consider this a successful night regardless of the result.
I mean, yeah, it's what I said before. They played up against AHQ, who last time they faced off against, they actually took a single map off of AHQ. Now, it doesn't sound impressive, but when you look at the table, bottom team taking down the very top team, that's actually a huge, huge improvement. Now, it was against an AHQ that looked a bit shaky, but it's still within the realms of possibility for DeToNator to take off a map against Flash Wolves, which, like you just said, any improvement at all is great for them. Taking a map would be humongous.
You made a good point there as well. Within the realm of possibility is a really important sort of line to sort of factor in, because it was not within the realm of possibility for DeToNator to do this before. Now it is. Like, it's happened. It's possible. They may be able to do it again. That's the big takeaway.
And that's exactly what we mean when we say showing improvement on your screens now. Of course, lineup of Flash Wolves, DeToNator we did see earlier in the night, but Flash Wolves here we have Zonda, Bacon, Jack, Jongi, K, Momo, Sinclair, and Realment. This is really just, it's become the dream team lineup. This is what they are most comfortable running, and it's what they've continued to have success on. I mean, some teams sort of made some changes, then started finding a bit more success, etc., etc. And I feel Flash Wolves stuck to their guns with this lineup. You know, they were always getting decent results, but, you know, now they're looking like they might be getting an undefeated round robin, and that's with a lineup that wasn't doing that before. So that's actually quite a significant thing, I feel.
Absolutely, and this is a Flash Wolves where they struggled in round robin up to, dropped the AHQ, dropped the Machi, got a revenge win against them both in this round robin, and looking stronger than ever. And speaking of a team, you know, another team, DeToNator.GOLD, look, they had a pretty rough run throughout the entire tournament. They've now only got 2 wins on the board. 2 wins only against Sun Sister, but what Smite said again is important. They're starting to take maps off of other people.
And that's exactly, like I said, that's what we mean when we say show improvement. And they already have shown some. So any improvement is good improvement. The important thing really is not backsliding on any improvement they have made so far. When you're DeToNator, you have to be honest with yourself and say, look, we're not going to make playoffs this run. I think actually mathematically, that's basically out of the picture now, unless something crazy happens like Flash Wolves lose everything and DeToNator win everything. Let's be honest, probably not going to happen. But what they can do is build something as a team that outlasts a single tournament, a single event. And that's a very significant thing to do.
Yeah, and of course on your screen as well is Flash Wolves, and this is the team that we were saying before, bit of a dream team lineup now that they've finally found their composition right. There was a bit of a struggle within round robin 2 when they were trying to find their feet composition-wise, but now they are pretty set, and a lot of it revolves around this guy right here, but not crucially so. You take him out of the puzzle still works. In the way that this analogy doesn't, but but in any case, Zonda, he's a big piece of the machine here, but when you take him out, it doesn't matter. Flash Wolves can still come back from any fight, but Zonda is so well protected a lot of the time, but the key thing is he's not overprotected. When he knows that he can survive against any threat that's coming up against him, he'll let his team know, like, nah, don't worry, I'm good.
It's really dream team in the sense, like, you essentially have best Genji in Taiwan, which is Zonda. You have the best Tracer in Taiwan. Now that one I'm a lot more confident in saying because I've heard the interviews, most of the players, most of the coaches and the teams do consider Bacon Jack right now to just straight up be the best Tracer in Taiwan. And then you have arguably the best Winston in Taiwan and Zhongyi as well. So, you know, you have 3 of the best players in their respective roles currently on the same team, which is pretty crazy.
And players that work well together as well. Yeah. That's got to be the most important thing there. And that's kind of where they're getting that thing of, you know, well, look, Zonda is in trouble in this fight. We lost Zonda at the top of the fight. We can still win this. And that, I feel, is one of the big differences actually between, I would say, these top 3 to 4 teams and the rest of the teams in the pack as a whole, right? Everyone's got superstar players, right? We look at Fireball in terms of players like Apudo. We look at DeToNator in terms of players like Amiken. We do that with all of these teams, right? But the difference is, you see Apudo die at the top of a fight, and you're not too far wrong to say, look, it's not looking good for Fireball here. But you see AHQ's Dizzy die at the top of the fight, you go, well, they've got these other resources, they've got a return pick, etc., etc. And that's where that's coming from. That's where this notion of it's not all about Zonda comes from, even though he is exceptionally good.
Which is why Fireball, you really look at this team and say they've improved also, because as we saw tonight, look, even if Apuda wasn't so hot, if he was dying, or not even if he's dying, but if he's just not getting that damage up, if he's just not making the sick plays, Enzo and Nara stepped up, Rocket stepped up, the rest of the team, and Kurlos as well has really moved on to a different level, which is kind of where, you know, using that example is how we can say Fireball's moved up as well. So that's kind of a good indication.
Actually a very good point, yeah.
I think it's just more important, though, to say that Flash Wolves have been at that level since, at the very least, the top of the 3rd round robin, and only during the 2nd round robin was where they found a little bit of issue, mostly composition-wise, though. Even during that, I feel like their players still were part of the machine, were still running quite properly, and nothing mechanically was too wrong. Nothing during a team fight if one of those players were taken out. It wasn't a huge issue like it still is for some of the lower tier teams and still was a few weeks ago for even those mid-tier teams. Right now, like, Flash Wolves have already solved that problem a long time ago. They're really just refining everything right now, and that's the key thing that's keeping them at the top.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really great way to put it, actually, refining. Well, of course, as well, map pick has come through, DeToNator's pick. It is, of course, still, it's now a home game for them. Whereas before they were the away side. They've gone with Oasis. And gentlemen, I have a challenge. Let's not talk about Pharah. What do we have to say about Oasis that has nothing to do with Pharah?
Okay, let's talk about Tracer and Soldier.
I was actually not even I was not going to talk about any hero to start with, because what I want to say about Oasis is this is becoming one of DeToNator's core picks. Now, we've said before at the top of the day, DeToNator to me didn't feel like they had a control pick that was considered their pick. This is their go-to pick. For a lot of teams, it's Lee Jung. For AHQ, it's Nepal. And right now, it is beginning to look like for DeToNator, Oasis is that pick. They brought it out week 1 against Blank. They brought it out very recently against Sun Sister. They're bringing it out again now against Flash Wolves. And at some point in there, I think they probably brought it out at least another time. But statistically speaking, this would be the team now that has brought it out the most times.
And need I remind you guys, it was actually on Lijiang Tower, not Oasis, that DeToNator, in the series, they took a map off HQ. It wasn't Lijiang, but Lijiang came extremely close. And you can't help but look at that and go, look, if they were in a situation where they were able to pick Oasis, their more preferred map pick, could that have actually swung the way of DeToNator as well? That is why it's the sort of map that they're going to be pulling out against these sorts of teams.
So I'm going to have to break your rule already because Farah has to come up here. DeToNator, Anakin, he's going to bring it out.
I'll stick to the.
I appreciate that.
I'll be the
Your
rule
challenge
breaker
has failed.
Yep, cool.
Yeah.
No worries, I don't mind.
You're no Farah diet.
So
streak
sorry.
is ended.
So sorry, but DeToNator will bring it out on Anakin.
Probably.
But look at what the tools that Flash Wolves have against it. You've got Zonda, who can run either Soldier or Genji, both fantastic tools against the composition that runs Farah, or Farah as well. But the first two ones that I mentioned, the Genji and the Soldier. Soldier, pretty obvious, shoots Farah out of the sky. Genji runs into a dive composition, which you just win on the ground. And you take that 6v4, but in this case, it may even be a 6v5 because DeToNator don't always run a Mercy, but I still feel very confident that Zonda and Genji and the rest of the Flash Wolves can outdive DeToNator.
I feel like already if Anakin's Farah was controlled, I'm not going to say shut down, because he wasn't realistically shut down, but controlled by Fireball, I don't think Flash Wolves are going to have much trouble controlling Anakin's Farah as well. And that's the other thing I want to mention is I want to say that Zonda has a Farah pick because we saw that in the first few weeks. He hasn't really brought it out since because his focus has been on Soldier, which is still pretty scary because, look, if Zonda goes on Soldier here, I think he's going to directly counter Anakin. If he goes on Farah, I want to still believe Zonda's Farah is still better than Anakin's, as we saw from the last time these two teams have, well, not the last time, but in previous times these two teams have met, specifically the first round robin, when it was Farah versus Farah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've now failed the challenge as well, so I figure I might as...
Damn. My one was unintentional.
Sorry. Yeah, well,
Smite deliberately
I'm actually not going
to
to talk about Farah at all by noting that Anakin is, in fact, not on Farah. He is going to be pulling out the Genji.
That's absolutely fine as well. I think DeToNator know. I think it's good play and good read by DeToNator to sort of see that Zonda was just going to go on the Soldier as predicted. But K-Momo onto the Genji. This is now, I would suspect it, a refined triple DPS lineup for Flash Wolves.
Yeah, and I mean, Flash Wolves in that second round robin where they were struggling, it was the triple DPS that they were having trouble with. So they've really found a way to make it work. I mean, already opening skirmish, very much locked down. DeToNator, this is really a bit too late to go in and contest, but they felt they kind of had to anyway. They felt they'd given it away too easily, went in to give some resistance, and Flash Wolves, really without much effort there, kind of cleaned it up. It was like the fight was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, it was a very safe, solid opening coming up from Flash Wolves. DeToNator, you don't know who to go for. You want to go for Zonda, he's protected, he kills two of you anyway. It's very hard to kill Bacon Jack, but he ended up being the only one you killed, and then K-Momo, the third sort of X factor, the one you don't expect, he's always just there anyway.
Yeah, the only key difference here in the team comps is actually Yoshiharu, of course, on that D.Va, as he so likes. Without having a Soldier, yeah, that is actually a very solid opening, but the trade back onto DoToNator kind of has me questioning how this is going to go. Bacon Jack does go wide with the ultimate, as does Saihade. But again, it's just Flash Wolves coming up with the frags, and that's really all these fights are coming down to. No one's pulling at anything big here. We haven't seen crazy Dragon Blades out, even though K-Momo has now had his for that entire fight, and Anakin will have his for the next. I feel like that'll be the first we actually see.
It will be, and I believe, for Flash Wolves, this should be still a pretty safe engage. If Flash Wolves only wanted to use their Dragon Blade to try and win a fight, they can get away with that. They may end up using Transcendence just to block Anakin's Dragon Blade up, or the other option is, I fully believe that Flash Wolves may even just get away with killing Anakin. Zonda can just do that. He's the kind of guy that will shut you down mid-Dragon Blade. I've seen it before, he'll do it again.
Yeah, he's got the aimbot up now as well. DoToNator already picked though, and now they're pressuring out Yoshiharu. I was about to identify Yoshiharu, one of the few people that could really deal with Zonda's ultimate, which is now going out anyway, cleaning out the rest of the team. And honestly, Anakin's ultimate just kind of got committed to a side quest there. Like, he was off skirmishing a couple of other DPSs, way away from the rest of the fight, and the team had already died before he committed it.
I can sort of understand his decision-making there, which was he killed K-Momo, he says, look, this is a good opening, we're 6v5, I commit the ultimate, now we can win. Unfortunately for him, Zonda, the tag visor in response immediately demolished DeToNator. Look, we're already at overtime, this game has been so quick, and I don't feel like DeToNator have done much.
No, that was an ultimate forced out of DoToNator there. Realman did have to commit his as well, but I mean, now we're just going, you know, artillery versus artillery here, and Flash Wolves have more ammunition. Bacon Jack committing out the ultimate. Doesn't quite pop the mech, but Yoshiharu isn't exactly looking very healthy here. And yeah, they've got a bunch of kills up, but Flash Wolves, they've still got something in the tank here. They've still got the mileage. Zonda's still well positioned. And frankly, they've cleaned up everyone, even though it wasn't a cleanly won fight, like Flash Wolves completely wiped. That was very much in control from start to finish for Flash Wolves.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to agree with that. That was Flash Wolves taking the game by the reins, never letting go, and it detonated the entire time, playing by Flash Wolves' rules. They set the standard, they set the precedent. They say, this is our arena, you're coming into our house, and you will abide by these rules. And at no point did I feel like Flash Wolves are necessarily threatened. There was the Dragon Play from Anakin, but like I said, Flash Wolves, they don't need to do much to counter it out, and they didn't.
Yeah, and if you're ever wondering, by the way, dear viewer, if you're ever wondering what a sign is of who is really in control in any given fight, take a look at which healers are forced to use their ultimates first, right? And we saw that in that last fight. DeToNator had to commit the Transcendence because his team was about to die. That's not ideal for you. You want to do that second. This is interesting.
It's Sombra versus Sombra, which is...
Yeah.
This is a surprise to me because usually one team will run it and the other team won't. So it's actually kind of rare to see both Sombras come out. And it's a little bit of a game between which Sombra gets a health pack. And I believe, I don't know if I can confirm this, but it looked like Sinclair got the health pack first and Anakin just said, well, I'm not even going to get that, so I'm going to change.
They actually all went back to spawn and changed completely. I will admit they did that at a very smart time. They knew that they weren't going to get the cap. Flash Wolves with their Sombra had already gained the ground. You can't be busy fighting over these health packs, right? You want to fight over the point. So they went, let's just not play that game at all. And they had just enough time that they could go back, swap, and now they're back fighting at a regular time.
Yeah, definitely they are. This is a little bit safer for DeToNator. I do respect that as well. Respect the decision making to say, look, we're not going to get there. Let's do something else. Now they got to make this work though. They got to get a couple of kills, starting out with Bacon Jack. It is good. Well, Sinclair is good too.
They forced Zonda off there as well. He didn't quite die, but he got really, really low. So he's been forced out of that fight anyway. Great flashbang from Anakin to secure out Realman there. And this is a really, really solid, honestly, well-executed counterattack.
Where's the cat?
They're trying to get themselves on the point now. Yoshiharu's sort of having a bit of a, once again, a bit of a side quest down here with Jongi, but they are going to get the cap through. Probably gave a bit more time over to Flash Wolves than they needed, but what's done is done, and DeToNator are now in control.
Yep, and the best part is EMP's not really there yet. We just passed the 50% mark. I've said this before, but Sombra is kind of, it's difficult to get the retake in there. It's much better when you have control of the health packs. When you don't have control of the health packs, hard to play Sombra. They got to get the EMP here. Anyway, I'd like to see how they commit this. More specifically, I want to see how DeToNator play around it because you know it's coming. What are you going to do to play around it?
Anakin's already low as well. In fact, they might not even use the EMP. They're just going to open up with this Dragon Blade first. Sound Barrier keeps them safe, but the Deadeye finds nothing. Now they're actually having to fight back towards this point. It looks like they'll pick K-Momo. That's great comeback there. And now they're just starting to get the sheer frags through. Actually outlasted. Flash Wolves engage. They committed the EMP at a very awkward time. And DeToNator actually held that down very well. I feel like they kind of forced Flash Wolves to take the fight way further forward than they wanted.
I got to say, well played by DeToNator. Specifically, you see from Anakin's point of view, he was nowhere near that EMP. He comes and says, cool. I haven't been EMP'd. I got my roll. I got my flash bang. I got everything ready for you. See, cleaned up in Zonda. He had no health, no ability to counterplay whatsoever. And I'm starting to think Zonda on the Genji is currently not doing so well on this particular map.
It's actually really not, and that's a little bit of a surprise. They don't really have too much to synergize it with either, and it is kind of coming up against a triple tank with it anyway. But Slayhardy getting picked at the top of this one could mean the fight looks to swing the other way. And yeah, getting Yoshiharu's mech as well. This should be Flash Wolves starting to get some possession on this point. Hopefully they won't actually need to use any ultimates here either, which would be huge for them because, I mean, if you look at the array here, DeToNator, they barely have anything, and now they're going to have to be counterattacking and taking this point off Flash Wolves.
And this is what control looks like. This is what being in control looks like. You get the point, you win a fight, 0 ultimates committed on your side. In fact, you counted out ultimates on the other side. Whole hog from DeToNator, completely nullified. Nothing came out of that. You're sitting on just on 6 ultimates now. Caps in your favor, 60% coming up. You need to win 2 more fights to get this. With 6 ultimates, you absolutely can.
Oh, hello, Bacon Jack. That's the ultimate out, the EMP, and that's going to be the bomb. Catches. I'd only caught the one, actually. I thought it was going to get Zonda off as well, but it doesn't really matter because Zonda is here to open up, and they've still got plenty to lock down this point now. Still sitting on a good round of defensive ultimates to at the very least still out a fight to overtime. Flash Wolves are really looking in good shape here.
That's the good point as well, because Flash Wolves very much new. Look, you only need 2 fights here. Let's commit 3 ultimates. Save the other 3 for the other fight. You're exactly right. You got enough stall to sort of keep yourself in there. Get your other ultimates back up. Bacon Jack's almost halfway there as well.
Look at how aggressive
more than
this
halfway.
is. This is actually going to force out a very early Deadeye. Early enough that it's able to get blocked by the Diva. It does force out the Sound Barrier, but again, Flash Wolves are kind of looking fine here. They're about to get this EMP available. They're already getting these picks through. Flash Wolves, yeah, they're once again looking completely in control. They're going to have to commit a nano boost here, DeToNator onto Anakin, and he's going to try and one-man army his way onto this point. Does not have any more support from Dotlov. He has been cut off by Sinclair, and that is Flash Wolves. Like we said, man, total control. Did lose it for a time, but I feel like that was because, honestly, DeToNator reacted and countered the comp very well. Very smart play by them. The reason the EMP wasn't there, as you noted, was because there was no opening skirmish, since they all swapped heroes. But then Flash Wolves got back in control.
It was really well executed, that counterplay from DeToNator in particular. I gotta agree with you. You're right, there was no EMP because there was just no fight to start with. No fight means no damage, means no health pack, heals, none of that.
Which is what charges it so quickly.
So in terms of advantage against Sombra, look, the Sombra was a bit of a non-factor in that opening fight, which is, you know, kind of how Anakin did so well. And then the sort of following fight as well, Anakin missed the EMP. He didn't get hit by that. He came back in and he kind of carried that fight for DeToNator again. So I mean, DeToNator had some good moments here, but eventually Flash Wolves, as the team, their reputation, you know, they get back into control and they never lose it.
Yeah, and now on what could well be the last map for them. Looking to do the same, I imagine. You can see this Bacon Jack already taking a very aggressive position, looking to flank around this jump pad, rather than kind of taking the fight in the more traditional route towards the jump pad, and I do agree with this. It does mean they cede a bit of high ground over to DeToNator, but they're willing to set themselves up on the point and kind of force DeToNator to come to them.
Now, last time I saw K-Momo on Soldier, I wasn't too impressed.
Oh, Zonda.
I wasn't really feeling it, but this time he's here to redeem me. He's here to redeem himself for me, I guess. Anakin again, like I said previously, like he's been performing on this McCree. If he can continue getting these picks, this is going to be a first fight win for DeToNator, and I think it's going to come through.
Yeah, honestly, just getting Zonda at the top of that was huge. That was a really, really interesting situation there. DeToNator went, well, we'll take the high ground and try and win the fight before you're able to cap the point. And Flash Wolves went, well, we're going to go for the point and hope to cap it before you're able to commit off the high ground and catch you in a fight that way. They both had a clear strategy, but honestly, DeToNator just straight up won out with the high ground because their comp is built for it and they picked Zonda.
I mean, they got an entire pick-based comp. You got a Roadhog Toki, you got McCree with the headshots. K-Momo is now going to get the first one onto DeToNator, and what you got the main target. You killed Anakin, he's been the troublemaker.
Oh, Bacon Jack, good sticky onto Dodolov, and that can actually just swing this fight already. They do pick K-Momo, good one for them, but the rest of the team, they're just not even there. I mean, unfortunately, Anakin got picked off a little early in that one, so Flash Wolves, again, will be able to swap around. And that's interesting because, once again, DeToNator were going for the high ground, but this time Flash Wolves kind of reacted to it.
And killing Anakin right off the top, I mean, like I said, this is the guy that's been putting the main pressure on the Flash Wolves. He's the guy getting the majority of the picks. I actually like seeing Sayate on the Hog. I didn't mention this previously, but Sayate's Tracer, I haven't been feeling. He wasn't really performing on Tracer against Fireball. He's not going to start performing against Flash Wolves, not against Bacon Jack, certainly.
No, certainly not. Any case now, Flash Wolves are getting control of the point, and I like how they're kind of bouncing between this point and this high ground. Now that they've picked their lave, they feel ready to commit to the point. They've kind of,
wow.
That is a good flashbang. They may be actually able to pick Zonda. That's a really good start for them. If that had gone the other way round, Zonda would have been able to take out...
He saved his Dragon Blade though.
He did. Luckily, because of when the flashbang connected, but he would have taken out Anakin and the healer. But in any case, now it's Anakin trying to kind of lock down this point, trying to make it happen, but I nearly did. Yeah, I nearly did. But more importantly, actually, DeToNator, they're kind of stringing this one out, but Flash Wolves haven't died in any concerted way. They're kind of trickling onto the point, sure, but the point's still in their possession. They've still got a good run of ultimates. Jongi's stalled out very well with his, and now actually the rest of Flash Wolves can come in for a counter-attack. They do pick Real Mints. That was one of the ultimates available, but unfortunately Bacon Jack finding nothing with that pulse bomb. It is once again an even playing field. DeToNator, if they get a few frags through, should be able to secure this one. Ooh, the Deadeye doesn't quite find the Tracer. This is going to be the open up to K-Momo. He's kind of struggling though to get targets. He's now getting blocked out by Yoshiharu. Doesn't pick Anakin. Does force out the sound barrier, which is good. And at the end of the day, very protracted fight. It's looking like it might start to go the way of DeToNator here.
It is, and I gotta say, for Flash Wolves, they're really now in this sort of space where, I don't know if we've said this about Flash Wolves before. I'm gonna say we have definitely said this about Blank, but there's a little bit of overconfidence coming out, specifically when you see that play from Zonda, committing the Dragon Blade in a situation when they're already losing. Now I feel like there's a possibility that Flash Wolves are now just feeding members against DeToNator. The good news for them is they still have control of the points, and they're fighting for it, but they eventually lose it out, and they lose the ultimates, and they've charged now DeToNator's ultimates. So I see the argument there, I see the decision-making process. I don't know if I agree with it necessarily from Flash Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, what they did at least do, like, they took a losing situation and gave themselves an opportunity to win, but then when that move to start winning the fight failed, I feel like the commitment to back off should have just been a little bit more coordinated. It should have been a little bit more followed through on.
You're starting to see why Zonda doesn't play Genji much anymore. As much as I say best Genji in Taiwan, if this is the result of best Genji in Taiwan, I mean, it's not been so hot so far.
So Hardy picked with that whole hog running is very bad stuff for them. Good kill onto Zonda there, but Anakin is kind of pressured out of this fight, and can't tell if that was Tracer or a car, but in any case, Flash Wolves, yeah, once again, already in control of this one. So Hardy swapping off the hog onto the Tracer so he can beeline for this point. They do pick back Bacon Jack, but K-Momo has this one on lockdown. There's just the Winston. Samurai D goes down, and Flash Wolves
Someone should cap.
They should get it in a minute here. Really, they just kind of took the fight away from the point, and DeToNator kind of walked into it.
Yeah, definitely a little bit there. This is just cleanup now. These are just formalities. The final few kills going over. And what's it? 3-0. A few concerning moments there in terms of if you're Flash Wolves, that is. Because right at the end there, that was about the best showing and the best result for DeToNator. Unlike that, it got better as we sort of moved along. It started out quite poorly. And then we went to University, it got a bit better, and then on to City Center, it was about the best, and this is, now let's check out this play. This is the first fight where DeToNator flipped the back over.
Yeah, and Anakin really did, I'm going to be honest, carry that fight. Rightfully so. I mean, that's what that comp was built to do, right? And the rest was still pulling their weight. You had the Divas blocking, you had the Roadhog getting hooks, getting picks. But Anakin, he's just so consistent when he does get to go on that McCree. I do like that they are going for this team comp that's kind of built to leverage that as much as you can, and it did almost work, but Flash Wolves are a really good team.
You know what, I'm glad they swapped off Sombra. I'm glad Sinclair got there first and hacked it, because I gotta say, if that didn't happen and DeToNator committed to the Sombra play, I think the result would have been far worse. And the fact that they reacted fast enough, came back with a better composition that better suits their team. Again, not having Anakin on the Sombra, where his talent, in my opinion, is wasted. Look what the guy does on McCree. You're not going to do that on Sombra, so this is a much better result than him playing Sombra.
I think this is also a good sign of what we can expect from DeToNator on both Hybrid and Assault and Payload if we get there as well, because his McCree.
DeToNator's Anakin is just great right now. Their Anakin play is through the roof. Sorry.
So, Anakin on McCree is actually really quite fantastic. And when DeToNator run a composition around it, you also end up with a composition that works very well against heavy dive, which is something that Flash Wolves have been pretty confident in running pretty consistently. Yeah, Zonda is sometimes on that soldier as well, so you eventually do have to have something that goes and deals with them. But if we got a Hybrid and then Assault, that's a map where teams on defense can actually hunker down and just say, look, if you want to run dive, you've got to come to us. You've got to come towards this flashbang, this Roadhog hook as well. And that is something that dive is not comfortable working around. So it may ask Flash Wolves to do something else. But remember, they do have Zonda on that soldier.
Something I want to point out about this composition from Flash Wolves is there's a level of, I would say, experimentation still at Flash Wolves. Don't forget, this is a match where they're expected to win. That's not a surprise to anybody. They know that as well. They wouldn't, I feel personally, would not be bringing the same composition right now against AHQ or Blank. This is the time when they're saying, okay, put K-Momo back onto the soldier, put him on Genji, put Zonda back onto Genji. Let's see how we go with that. Is this good enough? Are we beating DeToNator safe enough? Because don't forget, the last time we saw I guess the most memorable time that we sort of saw the triple DPS was when they first brought it out. It was a bit of a failure against Machi and AHQ, and then when they came back against Blank in the massive comeback game, they went back to 2-2-2. It worked like a charm. Every time they've won now against the other sort of top teams, specifically off 2-2-2. So I believe that's still their go-to. This is not Flash Wolves playing at full power. This is them sort of just like test, sort of knowing their favorite and playing something that they want to master for later on.
This isn't the Stones playing their greatest hits. This is them playing their new album, right? And you haven't heard it, and you don't really like it anyway. But I mean, it's still the Stones, and the music's still good. You know, you're like, all right, yeah, cool.
The important thing is, though, it's not letting anyone else listen to the greatest hits and more, right? You've only got the songs you've already heard, but you don't get to hear the tracks
You recalled all the album.
because they're not giving you recent performances of their 2-2-2 anymore. So teams that are at the top of the table, even Marchi, who realistically have a shot at beating the Flash Wolves, don't get to look at a recent performance of 2-2-2 from the Flash Wolves. They can't say, okay, this is still how they play, or this is an improvement on how they play by doing this. They're instead just going for this triple DPS composition, not letting the enemy team see a recent performance of it. Yeah, sure, there's plenty of games where they have done it before, but at the very best, you're keeping things a little bit in the dark.
Yeah. There's just a staggering difference in performance between Zonda's Soldier and K-Momo Soldier. I think that's very apparent. You just look at what we saw there. It is a very obvious thing. And I said, look, the last time, I keep saying the last time, not exactly the last time, but just some time in the past, right? I've said, look, they need to put Zonda back on Soldier and permanently if they want to beat teams like AHQ and Blank. They did that. They beat teams like AHQ and Blank. They didn't put them on the Genji because, like I said, best Genji in Taiwan, you're still getting results where the guy just gets shut down. This is not a surprise. It's got nothing really to do with him. You watch Who Are You from Lunatic High on Genji, best Genji in the world, this kind of thing happens to that guy as well. So despite how good you are at Genji, where Genji is in the meta right now, that kind of stuff just happens. So this is why you put Zonda on Soldier.
Exactly, and you know, especially if you've got a great Genji, funnily enough, people are probably going to funnel a few more of their shutdown tools towards that Genji. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. That just makes perfect sense. But gentlemen, things that make less sense. Next map pick has come through. It is Flash Wolves' pick, and we're going to Germany.
2 in 1 day.
Yeah, 2 in 1 day.
What a world we live in.
This is like, I'm going to be honest. I was watching the matches earlier, and when that Eichenwalde pick came through, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I get to see Eichenwalde, but man, I really like casting Eichenwalde, but I'm not going to get to do it today. Like, it's rare to see it as it is, but like, wow.
I'm looking forward to you doing the whole thing in German as well.
This is like having 2 birthdays. You know, you get 2 birthdays in a year, like back to back.
Look, well, Eichenwalde is...
Sure.
I'm just happy. I'm sorry, I'm happy about this pick. Let's talk about the map in terms of the actual teams, though, not my own feelings about it. I like this map.
So it does play into what I was saying before. This does allow DeToNator to, on defense at least, play a composition where Roadhog and McCree are involved. Whether they throw Reinhardt and Zarya in there instead of a Winston is another story, but I feel like they do still need someone to go and deal with Zonda if he plays Soldier. If we see him on Genji again and they're just going full on dive, or even if it's just K-Momo on Soldier, I think they can still run just full-on hunkered down composition, hide up in that building, and just say, look, you've got to come to the point, we're going to wait here, and if you try and fight us, we've got flashbangs, we've got hooks, don't worry about it, we'll kill you.
We've got the best prices in town.
Come on
flashbangs, we've got hooks.
Yeah, you're like a Springer. We've got flashbangs, we've got hooks, and they've all got to go.
Big blowout summer sale.
But yeah, no,
only at the ruined Eichenwalde castle.
So Eichenwalde is kind of playing along to the theme of what I believe is happening for Flash Wolves today, which is essentially, one part of it is what you've said, Spider, and something that we've sort of pointed out Blank does quite often is kind of hiding tech, if you will, against the other top teams. You don't want to be showing the other top teams your Kings Row right now again for that sort of matter. Let's go to something different like Eichenwalde that you're not really going to get picked against. Surely you're not going to pick against the other top teams. But secondly to that, good opportunity to play it in a match setting again as an experiment. I mean, you're in the experimentation mode, bringing back up the triple DPS came over. How good is your Soldier now? Let's find out. Let's also do that on Eichenwalde, which we don't play very often.
Exactly. Well, I was going to say, you know, there's the other side of that as well, right? Like teams don't play this map a whole lot. If you're Flash Wolves, you're staring down the barrel of going into playoffs, right? You might as well pull it out now where, let's not be too rude about this, but you're pretty expected to win. At least have some evidence of how you are on Eichenwalde coming into playoffs. If you really want to be going to Kings Row and you've had a great performance on Eichenwalde, which is a map you don't want to play too much in the playoffs, other teams are probably not going to go ahead and pick Eichenwalde. But let's take a look at this. This is This is new. Making good use of
Well,
that new.
it's new if you just joined us, but if you were here earlier and you watched DeToNator versus Fireball, this is the strat where DeToNator are going to go around the back, Eichenwalde themselves up, get themselves propelled around the back, but look, Jongi's not having a bar of it.
No, well, he probably saw that map too. K-Momo has dealt with Anakin already, and honestly, this maneuver is not going to work. It's just been too well sniffed out and too well reacted to. The reason I say new is, of course, this is only possible with the change on Eichenwalde, which isn't a new change now. It's not like it's not like days old, but...
Now check this out. This is really important because Flashwolves are doing something really smart here. They're actually purposely staggering these kills out. You notice that they forced a few members of DeToNator out into the back. They didn't immediately attack them. They didn't immediately collapse. They waited for the original members they killed to die first, respawn, and then attack the members on the outside, kill them, stagger them further, then kill these guys, and they can respawn again. This is super smart play, and is a massive stagger.
It's phenomenal. This has already burned a quarter of DeToNator's time, and honestly, by the time they're actually gearing up to attack this point, it's going to be 2.5 minutes remaining.
You don't even try it again. Look, you don't even bring the Mei back out. You just go for a standard attack at this rate, which is smart by DeToNator. I like that DeToNator know how to damage control, but the damage is being done.
And how do you even break through this now? Once again, this is Flashwolves playing to the beat of their own drum. They are the ones with the ultimates. They're holding this high ground. I mean, normally as DeToNator here, it's a hard enough choke point to fight through, and you're just going to have to slog it out, get some good picks. But they don't even have the ability to do that here. They can't get into position. And if they were about to get in position to do that, Flashwolves could commit ultimates. They're not even having to commit ultimates here. The only member they're going to lose is Jongi. But because these kills are so staggered on the side of DeToNator, Jongi's going to be back with his team by the time DeToNator come in for the next attack.
I mean, we're nearly 2 minutes through, and DeToNator have got their first kill. By the way, I don't think Flashwolves have ulted yet, which is another important thing to note. So Flashwolves are sort of handedly winning these fights. No ultimates committed. It does give DeToNator a bit of a chance to charge up, but at this rate, it's catch-up in terms of time, it's catch-up in terms of ultimates, it's catch-up in all regards, and Flashwolves are just not giving any room away. Look at this.
This is disgusting. I was going to say, you need to get a bunch of really great picks, probably on Zonda, because he's going to nano blade you. And then you walked into a room and Zonda pulled out the blade and got the nano boost, and well, you all died. That was chop shop right there.
Yeah, 6 members of DeToNator and Zonda walk into a bar. That is the result. Zonda kicks them all out. They're all underage in Germany, and
Germany's got quite a young drinking age, actually. They only used 2 ultimates there, actually. Like, look, they're still holding on to the red. Like, we've got pulse bombs, we've got self-destructs, we've got primal rages, and they've all got to go.
Not yet, though. As much as they got to go, they'll try and hold on to a few of them. That was a triple pulse bomb kill as well.
I was about to say they've actually lost Zonda, and the Transcendence does get forced out, but wow, Bacon Jack. You've got teammates, and they've all got to go.
All 6 DeToNator teammates, if you can help it. That was another 2 ultimates. So if you're being economical here, which Flashwolves are, 2 ultimates used per fight.
Yeah, they're hunting for bargains.
It's a good return. You're feeling good if you feel like Flashwolves. Now for DeToNator, look, we're bleeding down the timer quite a bit. By the time we get into overtime, I'm expecting a large number of ults to come out for DeToNator, enough that they should be favored to get a win.
Good pick onto K-Momo there, but unfortunately he does overextend to make that happen. Dies to Zonda. There's not too much here for DeToNator to use. They do have this whole hole coming up, and they're really going to have to get a lot of result from this, but it's already not working. Zonda has another Dragon Blade, and wow, this guy needs to open a butchery.
That is a really fast second Dragon Blade. I gotta say, you know, we get to the 3rd fight. I don't even expect the second Dragon Blade to come out so early. He got his Dragon Blade so quickly, he cut down Saihate in the middle of his whole hog, which was, by the way, the important tool that DeToNator needed to clean up the Graviton Surge.
Well, that happened. That was a half.
One half of Eichenwalde down. This is going to be
we didn't even get to see half the map. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, you don't get to this. I feel really bad for you because you really wanted to cast this, but you only get to cast 1/3 of the map.
I'm not even going to get to see Eichenwalde. And that's like I won't see
you
the
get
second
stopped
half
at the
of
gate of Eichenwalde. It's like castle's closed, so tour dates come back.
I forgot to bring my ID.
That's it.
They won't let me in. The Eichenwalde bouncer doesn't let me onto the
forecourt. And all
forecourt.
6 members of DeToNator have been kicked out.
Have all got to go.
They've all been kicked out. I think we've had enough. I think that's the last of that.
No.
I think that has to go.
Yeah. the
that Joker's got to go.
The Spruker leaves.
Wow, this is a tough situation for DeToNator. I've got, I don't know. You've got Anakin on McCree. Good. He's been pretty decent on McCree. It's not like a ridiculously good McCree that's going to win you the game, unfortunately, because you've got so many fantastic players on the Flash Wolves side. But
what is that word? Hold on, what?
Yeah, try and say that one.
You
for
seen
me.
that German
5
word? In the
times
back? I could. I couldn't see it for long enough to just get all of the letters in it. I mean, the other ones are simple. It's just like Omnic Infantry and Omnic Artillery. Those are obvious.
Oh, that's what it says.
Yeah. I think the really long one
I see some Omnic Artillery right now. You see the Orisa?
Hey, nice.
That's called Omnic Artillery.
Is Orisa Artillery?
Probably not.
What even would Orisa have been? I don't know.
So yeah, I respected the way DeToNator approached their attack. Now the May play got countered very quickly, possibly because Flash Wolves are looking, as in they watched the previous game against Fireball. Possibly because Flash Wolves are just saying, look, this is fairly obvious what you're doing anyway, and we're going to just engage on you because, look, we're playing dive.
Well, Zonda is looking to have a bit of fun here.
Yep, Discord Orb plus damage boost plus a Widowmaker equals a lot of damage.
He just wants to go for it. Can he get up on that high ground? Oh, doesn't quite catch Darkloff there. That would have been a good one. But he does get Sayhadi, so it's all well and good. That's honestly all the opening they need, and they only have to cap a third. I mean, held out for 4 minutes, and then they're looking to do this one within the first minute. Sayhadi does have enough time to get back to this one, so Flash Wolves really should commit now if they're going to commit on this particular push. Otherwise, they do actually need to back off and wait for more picks.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, getting picked out means they're not going to do it in under a minute. Never mind, not going for the speed run here.
Just realized Bacon Jack is playing Genji. This is the first time, and quite possibly the last, I will see Bacon Jack play Genji. Now, a funny tidbit about this is, I know for a fact in interviews that Genji is like a banned hero for Bacon Jack. He is not allowed to play Genji whatsoever. The last time I heard of Bacon Jack and Genji, it was Ray, the coach of Flash Wolves, saying, no dude, you are not playing Genji. It is not good. We'll find out. Bacon Jack's got a point to prove. He's saying,
trying to redeem himself.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Well, I mean, he's a really good player, so his Genji is probably still better than like you or I. But oh, hello. So Sayhadi is all over this.
He's kind of like Zonda, hold my beer, watch me do this. But
they're not really giving Zonda room to breathe here, which is very smart. That did actually force out the res, and now Flash Wolves picking Anakin. Will probably have themselves an opening, actually getting Sayhadi as well. There's not really any DPS left here for DeToNator. Anakin may be able to rejoin this fight with this Dragon Blade, so once again, Flash Wolves actually need to start cleaning up quickly. They're kind of taking a while. Dragon Blade now committed for Bacon Jack. He opens up on the healers, and that's all he needed, yeah. Missed the sleep dart, but oh, why not? And he had the sound barrier running as well. And now let's see if it can be redeemed by Anakin. No, it can't. He gets cut down in the blink of an eye. And similarly in eye blinks, this one's going to be over. Flash Wolves speedrunning Eichenwalde.
I probably wouldn't submit that score if I was speedrunning, but no, it's...
Look, I've seen faster.
Speedrunning with a bit of fun, I think. Speedrunning if you're also taking the scenic route and you want to smell the flowers on your way, I'd say.
100%. 100% speedrun.
Well, I don't know if that Genji performance from Bacon Jack is good enough to actually get him a proper spot as a Genji. Specifically not if you're competing with, you know, Zonda's Genji, which we're about to see
hello.
here. This is what Genji looks like, by the way.
He's just in the bush. Yeah, this is that first one where they all kind of pile into the room. This is where ninjas hide.
They hide in the bush. Wow. Now that is something else.
That's really strange because, like, over here, bush also just means, like, any given wilderness. Like, if you walk through a forest, like, oh, I walked through the bush today, and we just call it the bush. So, like, that's where the ninjas are. Like, you go into a forest, and here we see the ninja in his native environment.
Where exactly?
But that is important, right? Where was he? Well, DeToNator didn't know until it was too late.
He was in a shrub. Let's have some definition.
Oh boy.
It's not a bush, it's a shrub.
Dust shrub.
Which is actually the same letters plus an R and then rearranged.
I mean, all jokes aside, I don't know what I've got to say about Eichenwalde because, like, a bit of a strange pick from Flash Wolves. Kind of said the reasons already why they might have picked that. And DeToNator playing their now set standard for it. And it's interesting because DeToNator are that team that like to go for the setup plays. You see them on King's Row. They're the only team on King's Row that'll be like, we're going to run a Sombra. We're going to go for a setup play where this is now our objective. We're going to play like a full minute and a half just to get this one fight and then try and win it. That's how they want to play Eichenwalde as well. didn't really work against Fireball. Eventually they got there, but not because of that specific strat, and then just completely fell flat against Flash Wolves.
Well, that's the thing, right? If you're Flash Wolves as well, you very recently saw Eichenwalde, so we can talk about how much they're hiding information, but also, this is the most recent performance on a hybrid map that we've seen out of DeToNator, and it's a very telegraphed one. So A, you know they're probably going to do it, and B, if they do it, it's going to be very obvious. They're going to run up those stairs with Mei, and then that's when you say, look, hey, Jongi, going to be a lot of targets there for you to electrocute.
Yeah,
go ahead and get them.
Hey, they're doing that exact same thing as before. Let's counter that. Oh yeah, good idea. But like that's exactly what kind of happens. The only thing I guess we should probably say is, of the reasons we gave for why they were picking this map, we did sort of discuss that it can be because it is not a particularly well-favored map for most teams, and you kind of want to have a good performance of it in your back pocket so that the teams in the playoffs don't pick it against you. I don't think that's really a valid reason anymore, given how Flash Wolves played it. I mean, sure, they won it, but they won it with, like, Bacon Jack on Genji and Zonda on Widowmaker. So, like, that, I mean, if you're AHQ, you're going to look at that and you're not going to go like, oh man, Flash Wolves are a team to be feared on Eichenwalde.
No. That's not the reason. The reason is you look at that and say, I actually have no idea what they're going to do on Eichenwalde.
Yeah.
That's the real reason, because...
Yeah, that's why they did what they ended up doing.
It's not about making statements saying we're really good at Eichenwalde. It's more about making a statement where we can win against a team by running something subpar and still feel pretty safe about it. And we're not going to give away information on how we actually play this map or any other relevant map, because they don't even want to do it on a map they are more favored on. They're going to do it on a map that is less picked, and then even on that map, they're not going to run their true composition. And even on Oasis, like I said, I don't believe they would be running that specific triple DPS against either AHQ or Blank or even Machi for that matter, because by the way, Flash Wolves do often mention that Machi is one of the teams that they do look out for. They do consider Machi as pretty strong competition, despite being still very favored against them.
Yeah, well, I mean, the net effect is the same, really. You just want other teams to have a reason to not pick Eichenwalde against you. That's really all it is. Because no one wants to be on an uncomfortable map in playoffs. Even though it would also probably be uncomfortable for the team picking it, you want them to doubt how good they are at Eichenwalde because they don't know anything about you. No matter how you do that, as long as you do that, you're fine. So, goal achieved, man. Well done, Flash Wolves. I think the question we have to ask, guys, are we actually seeing any of the improvement out of DeToNator that we kind of want to be seeing in these matches?
I would say there was more evidence for that on Oasis, and if it was just Eichenwalde, it'd be like, no, not really at all. That was very much a washout, and not only that, but with a composition again and a play style coming from Flash Wolves that is very much subpar for their standard of what they could actually be doing. It is them hiding their strength a little bit as a bit of a meta play, but as the fact that they can just sort of win with that against DeToNator is sort of proof of how strong Flash Wolves is, and kind of proof of where DeToNator are sitting against Flash Wolves and the fact that it's happening at all.
I mean, I can't help but agree, really. Oasis was showing improvement for DeToNator. Even though they didn't win, we saw them like literally recognize what was wrong with the situation. For example, you go back to University, hey, look, that Sombra's already set up. Our composition's just not going to work with Sombra. We need to go back, fully change everything, and they had a reasonably good shot at that. So I think that was the biggest tell, because a few weeks ago, they would have taken half the round to actually realize that and then start swapping.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it will of course be their pick for Assault, so maybe we will see yet more improvement out of DeToNator. With any luck we will, but that will of course be coming up on after this brief break, so don't go anywhere. Thank you very much for sticking with us through that break, and of course we are back with Flash Wolves' speed run of DeToNator.GOLD. We are coming on up to Assault, and it will be DeToNator's pick. So they do have an opportunity to slow down the Juggernaut of Flash Wolves, and well, let's just open it right up with where do we think they're going to go? Do we think they're going to take them to Volskaya where they beat HQ?
I think there's not...
A good argument for it.
Not really any other great options, right? You look at Hanamura, Flash Wolves have shown to be pretty strong on that map, and it's also a place where they can really utilize Zonda as well, especially second point, but also a lot of argument for that on the first point as well. Defense and offense, doesn't matter, Zonda finds a perch. Same thing can be said about Temple of Anubis for the most part. Zonda pretty effective on that, maybe nullifies him a little bit, if he's on Soldier of course, on the second point, but then Volskaya, right? It's also asking Flash Wolves like, do you want to play the Sombra composition again? Are you going to run this or not? Maybe we can shake up your composition again. And also, it's where you can run Roadhog and McCree on attack. And I think that is why they're going to pick.
And then Flash Wolves just pull out like Hanzo and Zarya.
Also, Zonda's going to be really good on point 1 of Volskaya and also point 2 of Volskaya. I think the discussion essentially, he's just going to be good everywhere.
Yeah, but so basically Flash Wolves will probably just be really good no matter what map we're on.
It almost looks like, if you're DeToNator right now, it does look a bit that way. And I think where you pick now is almost less so.
Which of these maps is the least bad for us?
Well, almost. It's kind of like, it's less about what is Flash Wolves' worst map here, but rather what is our best map here. So that may just be the where they go. And maybe Volskaya is that best map for them.
The interesting
maybe it's
thing.
not.
Yeah, well, on terms of the maybe it's not, is actually the interesting thing is since picking up that win, they have had home games. They actually had their home day pretty much immediately after that. Went to Volskaya once, went to Temple of Anubis the second time. So they're not just always going to pick Volskaya when they can pick Assault. And they obviously do take into consideration the other team's abilities, etc. But in this situation, I mean, like we said, the other team's abilities would still suggest you go for Volskaya, so...
Oh my gosh.
But,
Wow, it's Hanamura.
Yeah, you gotta go. Sometimes you gotta go to your home.
Yeah, never mind everything we were just saying. Yeah, so this is Hanamura. Like, they're kind of going right into the belly of the beast here, man. This is Flash Wolves territory.
So...
I mean, one map is not Flash Wolves territory.
Yeah, they've got a fair few, but going to Hanamura is, we're going to have to talk about what compositions are going to be available for DeToNator, because I feel like their Roadhog McCree, which they've fallen back on a few times now, is not necessarily super strong on attack on Hanamura. It's going to struggle to work. It's also going to leave Zonda pretty much free. If he's on Soldier, up on the high ground, this is all depending on what Flash Wolves are actually going to run here on Hanamura. They may just run Zonda on Genji once more, maybe K-Momo's back on the Soldier, but in any case, Flash Wolves have a ton of options on defense that can handle this McCree and Roadhog composition. So instead, we're going to see DeToNator not necessarily forced, but they're going to have to go back to something like either a full-on dive or a full-on shield composition. And I'm pretty sure Flash Wolves can match either of those, even if it was a mirror match, right? They're fine.
Yeah, and I think actually the mirror match thing there is quite a significant thing. I mean, dive, generally speaking, being a solid thing to run. And I mean, especially Flash Wolves' 2-2-2 dive, right? And then we also saw them when they were running triple DPS earlier. It was still very dive-esque, you know, running the Zenyatta, running the Winston. So when you look at that comparative toe-to-toe thing, you've still got to favor Flash Wolves there, to be frank.
Yeah, I think this general matchup, despite what map we're going to, even compositionally, even if they want to run Bacon Jack on Genji again, you kind of got to favor Flash Wolves, and it's almost like on so many different levels, they are quite severely outclassing DeToNator. Now, for Flash Wolves to not have a shot at beating DeToNator, they would have to. It wouldn't just be Bacon Jack playing Genji. It would be like Zonda playing Lucio, right? Like that's what it would take. That's what it would take for Flash Wolves to be severely, I would say, cutting down their power level, just suppressing their own power level to sort of make this more winnable for DeToNator. It's a little bit unfortunate. Even saying that sounds really unfortunate for DeToNator. I think DeToNator need to do something a bit safe here, something that they're quite confident on, and that's going to be Amic on either Genji or McCree. And I'm thinking more along the lines of McCree because he's at a safer distance to be able to do what he needs to do. Genji, we've seen him already. He gets shut down pretty handily.
Just that duck walking Tracer coming through the door there.
I've seen this before.
And it is actually going to be...
We have seen this before from
this is going to be Amican on Genji. So, there you go.
Is that D.Va crouching? I've never seen D.Va crouch because I mean, even when D.Va crouches, she's like enormous. Insanely tall.
Yeah. It's a very marginal difference.
So apparently I'm being told that that is not D.Va crouching. And I wonder if the Sonic arrow reveals anything.
Well,
doesn't need to.
K-Momo's already sniffed it out, and this is probably because, like you said, it's happened before, and then immediately Flash Wolf's going to react. They're going to go ahead and pile through the choke. They don't really need to take the fight here if they don't want to. Not quite working out ideally, really for either squad actually, with Junkie getting picked, but the trade backs are there. Delave was already down, so the respawn has just come through for him now. They're trying to put the pressure on here, Flash Wolves, and they should get some respawns coming through. Losing Realment there is a little unfortunate. I wonder if it's maybe even better for them to potentially pull out if they don't get a lot of picks very soon here. But there they go, picking up Dodlov, and now actually the gates are open. They're going to go flooding through to the point.
Yeah, I expect the Flash Wolves to be able to get the picks. A good play from DeToNator to be able to get a few counter trades, but unfortunately not enough counter trades to sort of force Flash Wolves out. Then if you're going even with Flash Wolves in terms of trades anyway, Flash Wolves eventually come out on top of that just based on spawn difference, spawn distances, I should probably say. Now DeToNator, a very quick second checkpoint defense. As in, they're going to have to defend this. They're very quickly now back here to defend.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 7 whole minutes they're going to have to hold out for, just under that. And already Flash Wolves are kind of well set up. So DeToNator, they wheeled back fast, but not fast enough to deny this high ground from Flash Wolves. Zonda's well set up on it.
A double
and unless
kill.
something crazy comes out of this from Anakin, he's not going to... Oh, yeah, no, this is absolutely nuts. Anakin gets picked out. They already got the double with the pulse bomb. They are looking in great shape here, even though they lost Zonda. Now losing Bacon Jack, they're still going to be able to put up a good fight at this point. Actually, we just want to back off here instead. Never mind that. Didn't quite get the last few picks there on Samurai D to secure it. And now should not really feed much ultimate charge if they can so help it. Oh, we got a Pet Diva situation on our hands.
Yeah, so the unfortunate thing is, like you said, losing Zonda, losing Bacon Jack, that's your damage output combo gone. Losing one of them, it limits your output. Losing both of them nullifies your output. So for Flash Wolves, a little bit of a momentary setback, and now Bacon Jack's back into the action. Jongi's swinging his arms about towards the spawn as well. So
they absolutely did not let up in that. What they did even during the retreat, they were keeping people to keep that high ground secured so that once the respawns came through, they could all pile back onto it and go straight into this attack. This is absolutely devastating. Look at that. There wasn't even a big gap between those two fights. They didn't back off and then come back. They kept the door open for themselves. Good trade back by Seihade, but honestly, that's the only one he's been able to get so far with Realman running that Transcendence on the point. They're actually struggling to secure a third here, but they're only a couple of picks away from really getting it, and they are still killing DeToNator as they come out of the base here. They can get Yoshiharu before he gets his ultimate as well. That would be very good for them. Ooh, just barely gets it through, so no self-destruct. That would have bought maybe enough time for DeToNator to come swinging back.
This buys time.
Yeah, this does buy time, the sound barrier now, but even so, Flash Wolves, they're still set up. They're still looking fine. Now have Samurai D, Yoshiharu finally picked, Delave out of the picture, and now the DPS has absolutely nothing to protect them. They pick out the healers. It's the second ult Jongi has had in this fight.
I was going to say,
looking great.
That was a very quick second Primal Rage. I don't know if I've really seen a second Primal Rage come out so soon from a single Winston player on the same life, and this is going to be, you know, DeToNator still flooding back, but Flash Wolves are just going to continue charging ultimates here. We're so close to fully capping it out, and not enough damage from DeToNator whatsoever.
I mean, the worst thing they get at the end of this now is 2/3, which is phenomenal. And DeToNator, they've switched it up to go full stall here now.
They're getting kills, actually.
They are. It's working. And I mean, that happens, right? That isn't unexpected when you're the defender. What's amazing is that it took so long to stabilize there as the defender, gave up 2/3. And this was Flash Wolves keeping a lost fight open and then turning it into a 1-1.
That's impressive. That's incredibly awe-inducing from Flash Wolves that they can keep a fight going for that long. What you said earlier was especially important because even their first fight where they retreated, they never really took their foot off the gas pedal. They kept the pressure on, and they, even now coming back into this fight, it's very quick, very few moments for DeToNator to catch a breather.
They've got the ultimates already here, Flash Wolves, so once again looking good. Tank's just kind of coming back up for a moment to heal up. Already Yoshiharu out of the picture. Good ultimate onto Zonda there, but they're not going to get anything out of it because of that Transcendence, so it's just kind of used now. It's not going to be available for the point. Transstall up Flash Wolves, who have already got most of the kills through. Well set up on this point. DeToNator, they're now going to be trickling on this, and nothing short of a miracle is going to save them here.
Primal Raging is going to stall.
He's going to stall, but they're still getting killed as they come through these gates here. They're really struggling, and Jongi with his own ultimate is causing absolute disarray here. DeToNator, they cannot rally, they cannot regroup and take a proper fight here. What they can try and do is run down the clock. That is the best deal they're going to get. Yoshiharu finds nothing with the ultimate. They are still getting picked off. It's Flash Wolves' game, it just hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't. I got to commend DeToNator for being able to stall as long as they have because they've bought so much time. Look, we started this attack with 7 minutes. We're now below 3 minutes. So for 4 minutes, it's felt like a 4-minute long stagger. It hasn't felt like a necessarily 4-minute long defense. It's just been like repeatedly respawning onto point and then Primal Rage from Samurai D, Cryo Freeze from Anakin on the main, just repeat spawners getting back in there, and 4 minutes straight was just DeToNator doing that.
The only unfortunate thing though is if you can only look at the game in the context of they stalled for 4 minutes, like that's
Which
a long,
is impressive, by the way.
It is. Like they stalled for 4 minutes, that's a long time to stall for. The unfortunate thing is you only stall when you're losing. Stalling does give up a win condition, and you want to win, right? So, I mean, it looks great. Yeah, sure, they stalled for 4 minutes. So what they did is they were very good at losing.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's a silver.
Yeah,
that's a silver place. It's a silver prize, right? That's your
exactly.
second place medal.
You know, they were in a losing situation and made the loss less abrupt and hard, but it's still a loss at the end of the day.
Well, I mean,
running down the clock is useful in terms of double time back. That absolutely cannot be discredited, but you also can't help but feel that DeToNator would lose again in time back.
I think that's a given. I think everything you've just kind of said is kind of, that is just how this matchup is. This matchup is how...
Funnily enough, one of the teams in the top 3 is very good.
Well, check this out. This entire match is essentially for DeToNator, if you're on the DeToNator side, what kind of damage control can you get in there? Like, how much of a fight will you put up against Flash Wolves? It's hard for me to say it like that, but the honest truth is, the entire 4-minute stall was never a win condition out of DeToNator. It was just, look, how long can we survive? It was like it's one of those endless horde mode survival games, which is like, I know I'm going to die here, but how long am I going to survive in this endless horde mode before I die? And that is what it is playing against Flash Wolves as DeToNator. Yeah. So you're not wrong, but I got to commend, like, DeToNator are doing the best they can in a situation being presented to them, which is this.
You're actually quite right. You did raise a very good point because, like we said at the top, right, the way you contextualize these kinds of matchups is how much have these teams improved and learned. And actually, I would say that DeToNator have kind of learned more here than Flash Wolves have. It's a hard kind of game for Flash Wolves to demonstrate anything they've learned, but DeToNator are playing well. Unfortunately, losing Yoshiharu kind of speaks to the opposite. But aside from that, they are fairly well set up. If they can get some kills here on the Flash Wolves quickly, they can probably make a significant play for this point still.
Well, what I'm going to say to that is essentially, this is a huge learning experience for DeToNator and not a very big one for Flash Wolves, which is why for Flash Wolves it's important for them to experiment, because that's the only way they're going to learn anything out of this matchup. And right now, this is still good-ish play from DeToNator. They're able to hold this out. They're able to sort of get themselves in position where they can actually have presence on this cap. They're probably going to even catch out Zonda here.
Oh, that's so big, losing Jongi there. They did get Saihade off the edge with that Primal Rage. They picked Zonda, and Jongi, excuse me, unfortunately took a dive. Singlet is able to commit this Nano Boost now, but they're not getting much with it.
Bacon Jack down.
On the point. The blender is there. It's impossible for Flash Wolves to actually set themselves up on this point. I mean, we say DeToNator are a team that like to... nice hook. That like to sort of set it up and play it slowly, and, well, we kind of saw why there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but when it does work, they are very, very good at it.
This is going to be a cap out now, and you know, well done. I got to say, that was all DeToNator. That was not Flash Wolves just letting go and saying, here, have it. It was very, very much DeToNator setting up properly. They got the fight they're looking for. This is very much a team that plays for the one fight win. This is the one fight where everything is going our way. We're flipping all the coins and they're all going to land heads. And that's exactly what happened there.
Oh dear, they're very much looking for the snowball here, but unfortunately Zonda is already on this high ground, has a tactical visor.
He's got a flamethrower against the snowball.
Yeah, they have to address Zonda first or they lose this fight. Going in ahead and doing that now as best they can. Great sleep actually to stop the counter in from that, and Saihade opens up with his tactical visor. He gets Zonda off the top of this, and they're starting to get some good damage on the rest of Flash Wolves. K-Momo will get the self-destruct to stall. Unfortunately, they lose Dotlov, and Saihade knows he kind of has to address Jongi here, but they may at least get a third here. In fact, they are about to cap that. Not sure how much more they'll get. Zonda has respawned now and does still have that tactical visor. DeToNator still coming up with a lot of kills. They've kind of got the rest.
No damage.
Zonda's not really got anything through. Finally getting one with the Helix rockets of all things. And getting really, really forced out here. I don't know if DeToNator have enough members to get a second third, but they're getting way more kills than they should be getting by Rise.
Why is Bacon Jack still in the May here? I feel like he went to the May way too early. You want to go into the May once 2/3 are gone. Right now, if you're on the Tracer, you can get return kills, and for Flash Wolves, they need to get those kills. They are starting to get them now, and it does look like DeToNator backing off, but that was a bit of a concern earlier.
Look, they've basically got 2 minutes to get 2 more thirds, and they'll have the same amount of time as Flash Wolves. That's actually quite achievable.
It is, and the thing here for Flash Wolves is I don't believe Flash Wolves are, you know, this doesn't look like Eichenwalde where they're throwing out crazy things to sort of play with their food, as it were. This is now Flash Wolves. They do look like they're trying. They do look like this is something they would seriously
Suddenly
run.
Dinner is fighting back.
When Dinner fights back.
like the steak jumps off the plate and slaps you in the face or something.
It's like that lobster that, you know, you thought you put in the pot and you thought you got it, but then it sort of just pinches your back anyway.
Well, this is what they were looking to do with the May, and this time around it does actually work a lot better. They're very much split up. DeToNator had already got 2 picks before Samurai D found himself too deep. DeToNator, they shouldn't fall prey to that same one twice, though.
Yeah, this is now Flash was definitely much further in control.
K-Momo.
Well, I mean, K-Momo's really testing the waters on that.
Oh my goodness.
I mean...
K-Momo just got grey hairs from that.
I got grey hairs from watching that, I think. Flash Wolves are in a decent spot. They got a bunch of ultimates. They got enough ultimates that you actually just checked if I had grey hair, by the way.
I actually did.
That was funny.
Oh, I was thinking, like, if I can actually find one, then I'll point it out after the game. But I can't. Right. You've got a great head of hair.
Impeccably dark hair. Thank you very much.
Impeccable pie.
Something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a game. This is a game that's still happening.
I mean, if we're talking about DeToNator getting the second 2/3 in the 2 minutes, well, one of those minutes is gone.
Oh dear.
Where have we seen this before?
Oh dear. That was Bacon Jack committing his ults. There was actually 3 ults for a team wipe, and they didn't get anything out of DeToNator. I mean, you'll call yourself happy here if you're Flash Wolves, but that was a lot committed. This actually does give DeToNator a bit of a window.
It does at the same time. For Flash Wolves, though, they're essentially still on the same amount of charge DeToNator are on. So for all they committed, they haven't put themselves behind. They've just sort of put themselves on equal footing. And for DeToNator, you're not going to win on equal footing. You need a strong advantage to take down Flash Wolves.
Well, now they've gone ahead and changed off the May. I actually think this is in good timing as well, because like I said, yeah, DeToNator are probably not going to go for the same thing again because of the May. They're going to try and deal with it differently, and this time they're going to come up against something that isn't a May. And look, now they're getting caught out on the other side of this. They're getting flanked around by Bacon Jack. This is such smart play out of Flash Wolves. This is playing into DeToNator's expectation, an expectation that you have built based off your previous play, and now they're looking set to wipe them again. That is great. Yeah, this is really smart cerebral play from Flash Wolves.
Yeah, this is not even too many ults committed, or what is that, just the one, I believe? One Primal Rage will secure everything, so that last fight for Flash Wolves where we said, look, 3 ultimates committed from Flash Wolves might have been a bit too pricey. Should have haggled that one out. 1 committed this time around. Much better economically. DeToNator is still charging. They're waiting for that big fight. This is a setup team. This is a team that looked for that one big fight where they're just going to win it all, and it looks like at a very minimum, a 5 ultimate fight, if not 6. I don't think they got time to wait for 6, so I think 5, they're going to have to take it.
Yeah, they really are. Anakin also changing off that Tracer was why he threw out that Pulse Bomb, which I don't disagree with the change, but that Pulse Bomb can be so great for taking out, say, someone like Realment here, who is sitting on a Transcendence that is going to stall out the fight.
They want the hook. Yeah. They want the hook picks.
If this fight isn't conclusive and Realment is alive, they can stall long enough to get respawns in. DeToNator again trying to commit to this, but they are struggling. It's not working, and they're not changing tack.
They're really running out of time now as well. We said, look, they had about 2 minutes to sort of equalize time with Flash Wolves. They're not looking at equalizing time with Flash Wolves anymore. They just want to survive. They just want to get the cap if they can even get there. I said they shouldn't be waiting for 6 ultimates. I don't know if they'll have a choice because Flash Wolves aren't giving them a choice.
No, they're really not good. Sticky Bomb to go out. Doesn't quite catch anyone, but they're not addressing Bacon Jack. He's still in position to apply Tracer. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does give DeToNator more of a window, but I mean, look, they're walking into the same trap every single time, and now Flash Wolves are just starting to go, well, we might as well just set it back up.
And as they should, I don't expect Flash Wolves to really change up what they're doing here. This is now a rather quick engage, but you're losing members
Delay's
so quickly.
ultimate only caught him and Yoshiharu. Yoshiharu still got forced out of the mech. They lost Anakin at the top, and Sohari finds nothing with the Nano Visor. This is about as bad as a 5 ultimate fight can go, and Flash Wolves have only used self-destructing Transcendence. DeToNator, they do cap a second, third, but they're done.
2 for 5, I'll take that any day of the week. That is a fantastic trade. And Flash Wolves, they're going to get the full holdout. I do not see DeToNator getting this, so a 2 for 5 trade and then a full holdout. That is the expected result of Flash Wolves. Took us a little bit to get there, but I think, you know, the final moment's bleeding out.
And you know the silly thing, if at any other point there, DeToNator had played for thirds, hadn't gone for this long setup, get a conclusive fight, if they had played for thirds, if they hadn't have walked into the same trap about 3 or 4 times, they actually did cap third off that last one. They could have actually got the full cap if they'd picked up a second third at any other point throughout that game. But
was that first fight, right?
Yeah, that first fight actually put them in a position where they could feasibly just take 2 smaller fights, not look for that big team wipe, just leverage a couple of ultimates to create the space, get a couple of picks, and get a third. And then happily get wiped.
Wow. Sorry,
Yeah,
just taking a moment to relive this because it was something else.
Oh.
Even the send-off at the end.
Frozen and also put to sleep. That's really, that's a
so
really brutal
sleep. So he's waking up in 3017. We'll see him in 1,000 years.
Yeah. And there's a gorilla in front of him punching him in the face. What a rude awakening.
At least it's not a 3,000-year respawn, though. Let's get towards that. Because a cryosleep would put him in that much of a respawn is what I was going for. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, something like that.
Great to have you.
Could have given me a bit of a snigger,
I actually had a point that I'm trying to remember here. I'll get to it. I'm very close to it. It's tingling in the back of my mind, but
It's what? Well, in any case, that's Flash Wolves picking up the win. We did very much expect it. I'm going to go back to the question that we asked at the top of this, and that is, did we actually feel we saw improvement out of DeToNator?
The big improvement I want to say is that they were just recognizing when situations weren't going to work for them, mostly in terms of team composition, swapping things up when they did need to and not necessarily too late. On Hanamura, it's debatable. Maybe that Roadhog swap was a little bit too late, but at the same time, it was more along the lines of, we can't rely too much on our ultimates right now. We need these picks. We need these hooks. Otherwise, we're just not going to get through. And recognizing that is something that, you know, I can give credit to DeToNator for.
Oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say, which is essentially, you know, as
that
much as
thought has come out of cryosleep.
as much as what it was with DeToNator setting up for that final play, there were moments there where they looked like they wanted to go for it. They knew as soon as Anakin threw the pulse bomb, went onto the Roadhog, that was the fight where they wanted to commit. We have 5 ultimates. This is the time we got to go. Oh, Delay's just died. Oh, someone got picked up, and that just repeatedly happens. So
a May will split us in half.
So we say a lot of the times yeah, they just look like they were waiting. They look like they didn't want to go. Even when they wanted to go, they couldn't because they were never sort of in the situation where they were comfortably able to do that. And it was a lot of Flash Wolves, again, setting the trap and then springing the trap time and time again. And for DeToNator to just consistently put themselves in a situation. You actually, where DeToNator were best is where they were just sort of running out defensively and offensively when it was really tough for them and they were running out of time. It's like, oh, we're about to get capped out. Everyone just rush to the point, just rush. That's when they were the best. If they played like that on their offense when they had 5 ultimates, I feel like they would have been able to fully commit. But because they were so patient, not even patient, but scared, just like no confidence in actually attacking.
It's like they're constantly double checking.
Yeah.
Yes.
And all that time cost them members on approach.
And that's the thing, right? The big issue with that is if you take a long time to set up, for whatever reason, that is a huge window in which something can go wrong. It isn't actually that hard to pick one guy. If you're trying to slowly set up, that one guy dying is going to be the death knell for whatever play you were trying to set up. So DeToNator, I mean, it looks good when it gets pulled off, but I actually think they need to have a bit more confidence in hitting the go button fast and effectively. You don't have to double check everything. You should know that it's all there and you can go.
Also, on their last fight, that infamous 5 ultimate fight where things just did not go very well for them at all, they had a setup, a nanovisor combo set up, but Saihate and Dodolov, they were it's almost like they were saying, like, let's arrive about 10 seconds late and be a bit of a surprise. And I could see their wireframes through the wall. They were sneaking, like, not even up on the ramp just yet, and the fight had already begun. And then they came out a little bit late. It's like they were thinking too much about that engagement. They were thinking, like, this is the way we come out. This is our surprise. But by that point, Flash Wolves had already won the fight.
Yeah, well, with that all said and done, now Flash Wolves have, of course, picked themselves up a win, if not an expected one. And with that, we'll take a look at the leaderboards here. You can now see, of course, that leaves them tied for first place with AHQ Esports Club, closely followed by the other top 3 team, Blank. DeToNator.GOLD still hurting for wins. And also later on tonight, after this, we will have Matchy Esports versus Hong Kong Attitude. And you can just see from the standings why that is an exciting matchup. These are the 2 teams desperate for either a shot at the playoffs or to the very least be the guardian of that playoff spot, right? It was Hong Kong Attitude. They lost it to Matchy. This is kind of a rematch here. This is how Hong Kong Attitude can reopen that door for themselves. But it's also Matchy not wanting to lose the window for themselves.
Exactly, and I think for Hong Kong Attitude to sort of catch up now, they would have to beat Matchy tonight, and then also in the 4th round robin, and that would just put them in a tie, because where Matchy got ahead was they beat Hong Kong Attitude last time, but they also got that win off Flash Wolves, and that extra win off Flash Wolves is that 1 extra point, which keeps them in the lead against Hong Kong Attitude, because Hong Kong Attitude has never taken a full match off of anyone in the top 3, and Matchy is the only team out of the top 3 to have done that.
And that's the thing, I mean, it makes sense that they are in 4th place. I mean, if Hong Kong Attitude were in 4th place and had a shot, quote unquote, of taking a playoff spot at some point, I would still feel that they're not as favored as Matchy because of what you just said, right? Matchy actually have a track record of having beaten one of these top 2 teams. One of the few teams to actually do that.
Only.
Yeah, and I mean, if we speak frankly, right now Blank are having a bit of a downward trajectory. If I had to put it between Hong Kong Attitude and Matchy, I feel like Matchy are the ones who are more likely to take advantage of that. But if nothing else, Hong Kong Attitude can give themselves a window in this next match.
No matter what, I believe Matchy will have to win, like obviously win tonight, but then also beat 2 out of 3 of the top 3 teams during the next round robin to actually steal a spot off of Blank.
Yeah, so just by the way, of course, player of the match came through there was indeed Sinclair, specifically on his Ana play. Bit of an unsung hero oftentimes. I'm quite partial to his Zenyatta, to be honest. I feel like he is probably the most patiently timed with his transcendences, but you never see him holding it too long. You never see it come out when the person he's trying to save has already died, right? He's very, very, very well refined with that.
I think he had some great sleeps in there as the Ana, but they weren't like groundbreaking sleeps that really gave them the game the way Kurlos had. But the difference there was Kurlos and Fireball needed to get some of those sleeps to really put themselves ahead. For Sinclair, I mean, it was just par for the course.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and catch up with Zonda now.
Hi
Hello, Zonda.
很配合，很配合，很配合。哎，今天怎么样？玩的还不错吧？
So you guys played
今
pretty good?
天原氏杀很大哎。
那不是我，
那么，
那是培根。
那今天好，今天一开始绿洲城的时候，你就有看到你的这个原氏，你不要再说是培根了，在那边想要集能量，然后直接被拦路猪勾走嘛。 超快
So you
那
played
个反
Genji's
应
lane?
有点慢，
You got hooked a little
因
bit?
为今天坐了很长途的车来，然后那是第
He
一
said
场，
my
然后
reactions
就
were
有
a
点
bit
反
slow
应不
today.
过来。
啊，都是车程太长的问题，对不对
You see the-？
那今天绿洲城的时候，我有注意到对手的迪法其实是
Transporting right over
卡位卡的蛮好的，会不会造成你们难发挥？
其实还好，因为我们是选3输出的，大家都可以跑来跑去。我是不知道队友怎样，然后我玩原氏的话是蛮好发挥。
没感觉。
对，那如果他卡在那边的话，就有可能是我没有先激活他。
He's
对，
playing
你们好
triple
像没有特
DPS.
别要打爆他的
Puts
机
a lot
甲
of
第一
pressure
场有
off
点
myself because the
没什么在交友，
还在睡。
就是一直想要抓后面，但是我们没办法先处理前面的，可能会比较难打。
我看2场比赛之间，你的话超多的，就是那种选手在等待的时候，你就一直讲话，然后你的队友都不说话。
I noticed you were calming quite a bit, and no one else in your team was really calming.
为什么要在比赛进行间讨论昨天的比赛啊？
因为就讨论到其他地图啊，然后我们就顺便聊了一下。因为我们原本在讨论要拿什么阵容，然后就
He says we're actually still talking quite a bit about
之类的。
就是说，他
games
们
we
那套好像
played,
不
not
错，
even
要不要
the
抄
current
抄
match.
看？是这样吗？
对啊，
这么临时？
对对对。
那今天也有看到你们是第一次选择了艾希瓦德，
It's
那
your
这也
first
是
time picking
临时
Eichenwalde?
吗？
啊，对啊。
哈？
对啊，因为我看他们前面也选艾希瓦的，我们也选看之类的。
什么东
We
西？
watched their previous Eichenwalde
哎，
game.
今
We
天
thought
很
it
多
was
队伍
interesting,
都选
so
不
we
然我
thought
们来
we'd
打
bring
打
it
看
in as well.
所以平常是这张图是比较少练的吧？
You practice this map
算
much?
少，但是还是也是有练到
那。今天
We
你
do
觉得
practice
成效还
match
可以吗？
很好啊，很好啊。
But it
还
is
蛮好的，是不
less
是？
frequent
那在
than the
有一
other
个
matches.
角色配置的部分，大家有个疑问，就是在当你玩夺命女的时候，以往是你不玩源氏会给 K 某某担任源氏嘛，然后理当来说培根是闪光，结果这次是让培根玩源氏，
So
为什
you
么是这
gave
样的配
Bacon Jack
置？
Genji. What's up?
可能他想要上人一下。
上人一下，
He wanted to
你觉得
show
他
everyone.
是
他是啊，
他是上人，就是上人，不错，还不错，还不错，
很会忍。对
很会忍的上人，
对
看到人都不冲，很会
对
忍。
对对，很会忍。
好了，说到源氏，今天我也有问一下 Fireball 成员，就是关于源氏近期 buff 的事情，你自己觉得他是爬墙的时候会
You
冲
feel
刺
like
嘛，对不对？
Genji
你自己觉得有差吗？
Has improved.
爬墙之后可以直
Based
接
on
攻
the
击
small
差
buff
蛮多，因为如果说像站在高处的76啊，或是辅助之类的，可以上去直接输出，不会像之前你还要卡一下，会直接被人家发现，然后你再输出已经来不及，
那你之
So
前
it is,
说
it
源
is
氏
a bit
已经
quicker
没
now.
什么
You
用
don't
了，
get
现
spotted as
在
easily.
还是没什么用啊。
可是你不是说你刚把他讲的很强哎？
But he says it's
就还要看一下嘛，
Genji's still not that great
因为
right now.
更新嘛，
对
对不
也是
对？然后才没几天而已，所以还要再多试一下。
好了，再试试看，
对
到时候再期待你之后的表现喽。
好
那我马上来看一下我们沙发区更详细的选手访谈。
And we're going to
Bye-bye.
get to the couch really quickly as well. And this is going to be with Sinclair.
大家好，我
And
是
Bacon
Bacon
Jack.
Jack。大家好，我是新客。
非常开心，今天邀请到两位来参加我们的赛后沙发访问区哦。
哎
Sinker 这边第一个问题想先问你哦，今天你这个拿到 MVP，你今天有什么样的心
So
情？
you got the MVP today. How do you feel?
没有，
没有，没有，就不小心就拿到 MVP 啊。
因为都是鸡酒拿吗？鸡酒那个
He didn't
心
he
情
said
不
he
说
didn't
了，昨
expect
天
it because Jongi
连
usually
阿森阿
gets
妈
the
都会，
MVP.
真的。我去玩差不多啊。
差不多嘛。好，没有问题哦。那我这边有一个问题，我想问你，你还记得在艾希瓦德的时候，
对对
一个闪光站在那边，然后右边从你面前这样走，
对对
那个时候的心情是
那时候我超慌的，我想说，因为我其实团练的时候有很长都在边，然后团练的情况是每个人都走正面，这次第一天比较特别，他是走侧边，我听到超多脚步声，我快吓死了，我跟我队友说，完了，我死定了，你们应该会5打6啊，结果很意外的，完全没有人看到我，
6个人都没有看到。
So Bacon
Yeah,
Jack,
yeah, yeah.
he says he notices that DeToNator do
吓我
go
尿要喷出来。
that flank on Eichenwalde, and he actually thought he was going to die during that flank, that counter attack they made.
脸上都是充满了笑容。
对。
那我们今天有看到 K 后面有拿一场原始，你也有拿原始，都拿又拿原始，哇，那你们觉得
So he says like
这个三
a lot of Genji here. Kimomo played it, Zonda played it, you played it,
我
Bacon
应该
Jack.
不用我啦，你们也看到了，就砍不到人。
He says, yeah, I didn't
我
really kill
退出，我
anyone
退出，这人对忍者太难用了。
because his Genji's too hard.
哇，我们这边还是要问 Sinker 一点问题，对不对？Sinker 感觉不太好聊。
还好啊。
知道。我问你一些比较生活化的问题，好，那你觉
好
得平常有什么特别的，有什么兴趣吗？或者是有什么喜欢去哪里玩啊之类的？
What are your
没有，
interests,
就吃
Sinclair?
东西吧，
吃东西。
I don't really do much. I just
放
eat.
假的时候都在做什么？
吃东西啊，
吃东西。
对
那休息的时候在做什么？
When you're resting, what do you do?
不知道，看影片吧。
I don't really
Ah.
do much. Maybe watch some TV.
不是啊，比赛影片啊，
比赛影片。
对啊，
Oh yeah, I
肯定的，
don't
肯定
know. When I say watch TV, I mean watch VODs of our matches.
没有哎，
没有。我那个时候当选手的时候有看过。
谁啊？哦，不好说。
这个你们这样一下午会问完哦，这样会被骂的。他们说要问大概5到10分钟，你知道吗？
没关系啊，没关系。
没关系，就是你找我。
好，豪哥出道，豪哥。
不要，那不然再问你好。
好，
就是你们最近的这个近况怎么好吗？你们目
You
前
guys are doing really well at the moment.
从你们上次输的到现在，你们是10连胜的战绩，
哎呦，真的假的？
So you've been on a,
停了1个小时。
I believe, 10 win streaks
哎
since
呦
you've，
这么
lost.
强，
这么强，
我不知不觉
不知不觉
就打到这里了。
Bacon Jack doesn't even
真的不知道，
realize.
真
He
的不知
says,
道。
I didn't even know that.
厉害，有什么话想对大家说的吗？
How do you feel about your win streak?
当然是拿 OPC 冠军啦。
然后 PC 冠军，
He says,
我
we
们会
feel
维
like
持
we
的。
can win
你们会维持下去的。
number one,
好，那
first place right now.
你们两位可以来参加这个访谈，那我们镜头那边我们对观众挥个手，好，拜拜。
拜拜。
All right, that's it.
Well, there you have it. And of course, with that, Flash Wolves do tie themselves up for first place with AHQ Esports Club We will see how that one falls in the 4th round robin. So there's actually still a way to go before those teams actually get the rematch that I imagine they are now chomping at the bit for. And of course, DeToNator.GOLD still kind of hurting for wins, but definitely showing signs of improvement. In any case, the night is still not quite young, but certainly not old. And after the break, we will, of course, have Hong Kong Attitude taking on Matchy Esports. So do stick around for that one. We'll see you soon.